Welcome to this week's episode of In the Club presents At the Club. If you like what you see and you haven't done so, please do consider leaving a like on this video, subscribing to the page and dinging that bell for notifications. At the Club is of course brought to you by Class for Kids.
Class for Kids is an industry leading booking and management software designed for kids' activity clubs. We work with 250,000 monthly users around the world to help them save time on admin and organise their business. If you'd like to learn more, click on the link in the description below.
So on this week's episode, we have star of stage and screen, Michael D. Xavier. Michael is also the director and principal of MX Masterclass. So on this episode, we talk to Michael a little bit about his professional journey as an actor and why he decided to establish MX Masterclass. A little bit longer than usual, but very much worth it.
Hi, I'm Michael D. Xavier. I am a professional actor and singer. God, I feel like we could talk for about 4 hours about this journey. I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. I've basically been a professional performer, actor for just over 20 years now, and got into the musical theatre world. Trained as an actor, but kind of fell into musicals because I could sing. Moved to London, went on the complete unorthodox route of how to become an actor. I didn't go to my university showcase, the drama school showcase for agents. I thought, I don't need to waste time because I was studying up in Manchester. So I thought I'll just move down to London. I'll just do it there. I was so green. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Thought I knew best, and so moved to London and went to some open auditions and shortcut to landing work and then just getting more and more and more work. And the first job I landed was a musical because I could sing. And it kind of led me to get with an agent who dealt predominantly with musical theatre. So I kind of went down the road of doing musicals. And then it got to a point where I couldn't get seen for anything but musicals, but kind of blending into the history of how MX Masterclass has come about. It's basically what's happened is I went along this journey of musical theatre, learning a lot along the way, gaining a lot of knowledge on the job, if you like, learning a lot about getting a lot of contacts. So my then girlfriend at the time was out of work, and she said, well, we need to do something to, so I need some income. And so, well, why don't we set up some concerts around the country? And so we did, and we went to the first venue, and the guy in the first venue said, you know what would be really great, actually? He said, if you do some concerts here, he said, if you ask local children to be involved, you'll get all the parents who'll come and see it. And I was like, oh, great idea. So we thought, well, we'll do a little audition for local kids, talented kids to come and audition to be part of this show. And we did that. That show was a huge success. And then we just thought, well, we'll do this around the country. So we did several different venues. And what we learned from that was the kids we were working with we had to put them together in 2 days. So it was like a really intense weekend. And the kids were coming up and said, I call them the kids, the youngsters were coming up and saying, oh my God, I've learned more from you guys in like 2 days than I have in the whole time I've been in my amateur dramatic group or whatever it was they were doing at a weekend. And from that conversation was repeated over and over again by different children. We thought, you know what, we're missing a trick here. We need to open a school because obviously we're good at this. So we did. Initially started a school called West End Masterclass. We then went our separate ways, myself and my business partner, and we decided to change the name to Musical Theatre Masterclass, and then it became MX Masterclass for Michael Xavier. The team I was working with then were saying, we need to, it was my sister and my brother-in-law that came on board and wanted to work with me. They said, we need to call it Michael Xavier's Masterclass. And I was like, I don't want to call it that because I don't want to be like, professing to be like the oracle of musical theatre training. So we compromised and called it MX Masterclass. I don't think it's the greatest name, but, here we are. So that essentially is the journey of how it came to be. I've now been running the school for nearly 13 years. It'll be in September. So yeah, it's been a long time, long journey.
Yeah, definitely. So, what sets your school apart from the others? You kind of touched on it a bit there, but we'll just kind of like feed into that a bit more. So, what sets it apart from other schools, and what unique features or programs do you guys offer your students?
So, in one sense, we're very similar to many musical theatre companies or training facilities in that we do we train in singing, acting, and dance. That's kind of a standard thing across many other training facilities. But the reason that we set this up initially, the reason I thought this could really work is because a lot of kids were saying that their teachers at the school they were at, or the like I said, their weekend training facility, were not performers, had never been performers, didn't know the first thing about the industry, but kind of wanted to get into it, wanted to be a performer, but never went there and never succeeded. So therefore, set up a school, became a teacher, and that was something that I thought was really interesting. I thought I've got such a great wide connection within the industry. And I thought if I can call upon people I know who are really great performers, but also have taught before and know how to communicate with children, we could kind of marry the two there and bring on board some absolutely brilliant teachers and give them the training and the knowledge of what the industry is like now. Because if there was somebody that's, I don't know, been a performer 30 years ago or 40 years ago and set up a school, they wouldn't necessarily know what happens in the industry now, how auditions take place, what the process is, what the etiquette is now backstage and in the rehearsal room. All those things, I wanted to bring the modern touch to it, if you like. I wanted to make sure we were training these youngsters to know exactly what happens now, and it's something I didn't have when I was young. Like I said, my journey into this industry was such an unorthodox one, and I learned every wrong way to do it. I learned all the mistakes through making all the mistakes. I learned how to do it, and I just thought if I'd have had a facility like MX Masterclass when I was a kid, I wouldn't have had half the problems I came across. I wouldn't have faced those problems. I probably would have, worked in different productions, probably quicker, younger. I would have loved to have done it when I was young. I went to my mom when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I said to her, "I want to be an actor." And she went, "Well, do some acting for me now, then." And I was like, "Oh God, no! This is really embarrassing. We're in the kitchen. You're my mom. It was too awkward for me to do that. I still feel that way, by the way, about performing in front of my family or friends." But she said, "Well, you'll never be an actor then. You've got to be confident enough to do it." And that was as far as it went back then. And my mum hates me telling that story because she says, "Oh God, I sound like the worst parent in the world." And I say, "Well, no, we didn't have the support network for training facilities where we grew up. Where I grew up. So that wasn't there. There wasn't an opportunity for kids in my area to do anything like that. And so that was another reason why I thought setting this up would be a great idea, something that can support those kids who have that little flame inside them, of a desire to want to perform. Why not give them the best quality training, give them, the best insight into the industry, and help just kind of nurture them and move them into the industry in a more supportive and progressive way.
How do you believe performing arts positively impacts students, both in terms of their kind of like artistic development and their like developing in soft skills?
There are lots of reasons why performing arts is great for kids. There are specific reasons why the 3 disciplines are particularly brilliant, because you have with singing. In fact, I didn't actually know this. I only discovered this quite recently. We always talk about how singing is great for you. It's great for it produces endorphins. It's great for breathing, so you're using proper lung capacity, which obviously sends oxygen to the rest of the body, and so it's good for your physical health. Singing. It also obviously also good for your mental health because you're creating that endorphin rush, that stimulation. And that's why it feels great to sing. I don't know whether you've ever driven along, in the car and a song comes on the radio and you're just like singing along to it and you feel fantastic. And it's because of those reasons, because of those things, physiologically. There is also something that happens, which I discovered recently, and I didn't know about this. There's a thing called the vagus nerve. And that is, it's something kind of around the head, neck kind of area, but it's stimulated by vibration, and specifically by singing vibration. And that actually causes the body to relax. It's like an anti-stress, anti-anxiety thing in the body, which is naturally there when those vibrations hit. Now, there's a very current trend to wear these necklaces. I don't know whether you've seen any of them. They're advertised. I keep getting them popping up on my. Obviously, I've looked into it, and it's now every time I go on Facebook, it's popping up all the time. But there's lots of different companies that do them, and they're like little necklaces that you wear, which is like it's almost like a stone, and it vibrates and stimulates the vagus nerve. But that naturally happens when you sing. So you want to save some money? Just sing. Sing every day. So that is one particular thing that is great for children. It's going to take anxiety away. It's going to take stress away. And then we all know that is at an all-time high right now. So that alone, just singing alone, is worth doing it. Dance, the connection between the body and the mind, the connection between physical movement. Obviously, again, raising the heart rate, sending endorphins. You again, grab a bunch of kids coming out of a dance class and say, how do you feel right now? They're going to tell you they feel amazing. They feel electric. They always come buzzing out of a dance class because they've just used their body. But it's also about making neural connections as well, new neural connections, in terms of learning movement, learning where the body goes, and learning that the brain tells the hand to do that, hand-eye coordination, all that stuff. Obviously, that's very similar in sport as well. But that is a particularly brilliant thing. And the acting side of stuff, not only learning scripts, again, creating that neural pathway. I talk a lot about neuroplasticity, the idea that the brain is not a fixed thing, that it's malleable, that you can train the brain to learn pretty much whatever you want it to learn, right? But learning it creates what they're called neural pathways. So the synapses that kind of spark and light up can carve these neural pathways. If you do that regularly enough, you will get better and better and better at something, and you'll carve a deeper groove, if you like, into the neural pathway. So, where was I going with that? Understanding. Yes. So training your brain to learn something new is actually really good for the brain. It's good because it's constantly firing up. It's actually very good for older people as well, because it stops the onset of dementia, Alzheimer's. Learning a new skill when you're older is really good for that. But obviously, we're talking specifically about kids right now. But I think when you're doing acting training, the fundamental basics of acting are understanding another person's life, putting yourself in the shoes of somebody else, and understanding what it's like to live as that person. And we can only do that when you're completely empathetic, when you can completely transform your mind and put yourself into the shoes of someone else and think, how would it feel to live on the street, or to have to work in a sweatshop in wherever? How would it feel to be that person? And getting a child to put themselves into the mindset of somebody else is one of the greatest things I think we can do. If every single child in the world took drama and took acting and developed that skill of empathy, we'd have no wars, we'd have no problems in the world. Honestly, it sounds idealistic, but I truly believe that. And training people to be empathetic is one of the greatest things we can give children. So those three things alone, those three disciplines, are just kind of magical in helping transform a child from, just being a regular kid to somebody who is, becomes a really valued member of the community and of society. I had a little thought as well before. I was thinking about happiness as well. I often talk about how when people say to me, what are the great things you get out of this school? And one of them is the happiness that the kids get from it. There are many reasons why I continue to do this, but how much joy the kids get out of it. And we're talking about performing arts. Why performing arts specifically positively impacts a child? And I was thinking about, you took a study and you did 3 groups of kids, and you took one group and you said, right, okay, this group here are going to study a subject, right? They're going to study, let's say they're going to study maths, right? And they're going to do that for an entire week. Okay, those kids are off doing that. You're going to have another group of kids who are going to do performing arts all day, every day for a week. And you're going to have another group of kids who are going to just play video games all day, every week. What order of happiness do you think that we would get from that? Like, which group would be the happiest, and what order? 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, anything with like physicality is going to be number one in happiness, because it just does something to you. It goes in levels of like intensity to like lethargic. So you're stimulated by video games mentally, but I'm not a huge gamer, but I used to dabble, and you just feel more tired at the end of a session than when you started. So that's got to be, I would assume, 3, like the bottom.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. So you're going to have the performing arts kids because they're learning stuff, but they're moving and they're breathing differently. They're learning something in the way that the students studying maths all week are learning something. They're getting that extra level of physicality as well. And obviously the gamers are not necessarily learning anything. And it's about growth. We always talk about what is happiness, what makes somebody happy. It's about personal growth. So it's about learning to get yourself each day, bettering yourself by an incremental amount, however much that is. But by those students who study the maths all day long for the entire week will get a sense of value by the end of it. They'll sense a sense of journey, a sense of growth. Yes, it's not much fun sitting and doing maths all week. You'd rather be doing the performing arts. And they'd probably rather be gaming, but actually, essentially, they'll feel happier. So it's about that personal development, about that growth. I think that is something that's super, super important.
Can you share success stories from some of the students who have attended your school, and how did MX Masterclass contribute to their success?
Yeah, we've had lots of students who've come through our doors that have gone on to do a variety of different things, including deciding not to actually be a performer and go and become a director or a writer or someone in lighting. And actually, that to me is just as valuable. I'm not looking for every child that comes to our door to become a West End musical theatre star. It's for me, it's about growth, about personal growth. If they feel that they are more connected with learning about set design or costume design or something completely different, or even something not even in the performing arts world, an entertainment world at all, but finding the moment they find their thing and that they say, actually, this is what I want to do. That's a great feeling. Watching somebody kind of light up and say, actually, this is what I think my life's calling is, and obviously, we all know that's, don't get fixed into things these days, and you can change jobs as you go through your life. But it's great to see a child or somebody young getting excited about something. And obviously, predominantly the most of them that come to our school are, wanting to do performance in some kind of way. But we have had students who've gone on to do amazing things, and we have they've now become big stars. We've got, for instance, Emily Carey, who she's done loads of stuff. She was a regular in Casualty for years. She's done young Wonder Woman in the Wonder Woman film. She was young Lara Croft in the Tomb Raider film. She's gone on and just built her career amazingly. And she was more recently in House of the Dragon, the prequel to I was going to say Lord of the Rings. Then that's not it. It's oh my God, my brain has just gone completely. Game of Thrones. Thank you. Yes, the prequel to Game of Thrones. So Emily's done amazingly, and she's just continuing to do more and more and more brilliant work. We've got Sebastian Croft, who was in Heartstopper. He got a BAFTA nomination for being in Horrible Histories, the lead boy in that. Doom Patrol. He's about to open something now. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but he's about to. I think it comes out on the 5th of April, so it's super soon. He's starring in a new TV series for Netflix, I think. Asha Banks, she was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Spring Awakening, a film called The Magic Flute, which came out last year, I think it was, or maybe the year before. And then we have Natalie Paris, who was original Jane Seymour in the musical Six, which is very, very popular. And she's currently in the show Pretty Woman. So all those have trained with me, and we have more than that. I'm just giving you an example, but those I've just mentioned, I have asked to become patrons of the school, because I think quite often you'll have a patron. Our first patron and oldest patron is Sir Matthew Bourne, amazing choreographer, 6-time Olivier winner. He's done incredible stuff. He does all the dance shows that are. He did the original all-male Swan Lake.
Right.
I don't know whether you've ever seen the film Billy Elliot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the very end, you'll see him dressed like a swan, and he runs on, and the older Billy, that's Matthew Bourne's Swan Lake. He's done all sorts of stuff. He's done The Red Shoes, Edward Scissorhands, Carman. There's a load of stuff that he's done, but he was our original patron. And then I decided actually it would be great to have patrons who have been students, who have now become stars in their own right. I thought, what a great connection they can have to the school then. So they're our patrons. Yes, so we have loads of students who've gone out and done incredible things, and it's great to see them just flourish. It's like they leave us and they spread their wings and they just fly, and it's the best feeling.
Dealt with the glasses. So what challenges do students commonly face in pursuing performing arts, and how does your school overcome these challenges to ensure a well-rounded education?
Well, I mean, I suppose the biggest challenge in this industry is rejection. Being rejected constantly, you have to get comfortable being rejected, because it's going to happen all the time. I'm still a professional actor, and I get rejected loads. You'll do work, you'll send self-tapes off, and you'll hear nothing. Sometimes you don't even get a no, you just don't hear anything. You go, oh, well, I presume that didn't work then. Just that constant rejection. And you have to build a thick skin for that. And a thick skin comes from kind of trusting yourself, knowing that what you're doing is you're doing everything you can to get the work, and knowing also that it's not personal. That's something that took me a long, long time to understand. And again, it's about feeding the young students that information and letting them know now that it's not personal. So when they go out into the world and then they get their first rejection, they go, oh, well, Michael said it wasn't personal, so, maybe I don't need to be quite so upset about it. Of course, there's always going to be that thing of like the excitement of wanting to work and then you don't get it. It's gutting. Nobody wants that, but you do have to get good at it. You have to get good at dealing with the rejection. So in terms of how we talk about it a lot, obviously. I've got a brilliant teacher, Daisy, she's a professional performer, but she also works as well as a kind of mentor to young offenders, young people. She just works for a company that kind of go all around the country talking kind of positive chats to those students, and she's absolutely brilliant with the kids, because she's very much instilling that sense as well of it's not just about having a thick skin, it's about kind of adjusting your perception of everything. And essentially that's all it is, isn't it? Your perception of a situation is just that. It's your own thing. And if you can shape that and say, well, okay, that's a learning curve as opposed to a terrible thing that's just happened. I'm going to learn from that. It's then you're going to continue to grow, continue to move forward, and in a positive way. We have an ethos at MX Masterclass, which I mentioned it one day. It just kind of, I don't know why, but I said it. Someone will probably remind me when I said it, but it just stuck. And I thought, actually, there are three great principles. My thumbs have come up. Three great principles as the ethos of MX Masterclass: love, respect, and positivity. They're the three things that I mentioned. And so I now sign off whenever I'm talking to a parent or a student. I always sign off an email with that. But I love the idea that that's what we represent. We care for our students, and we respect them. We feed them with not blind positivity. It's not like saying, go and do that. You're going to be the biggest star ever. You've got to be realistic about everything. But it's about having a positive mindset so that you see things in a more advantageous or positive light. So that's something that we really try and kind of instill in our education. I think the two other things as well that kind of plague young people these days, not just specifically in the performing arts world, I just think generally, is distraction and procrastination. Those two things now, I mean, with everybody having a mobile phone and access to social media, and me included, I'm the biggest procrastinator in the world. I'm terrible. And we sit and look at videos on TikTok and Instagram for hours. You can catch yourself sitting there for an hour going, what am I doing? How is the day slipping away? And I think, I'm a fully grown adult. I have my own way of, I've got discipline, so imagine as a kid, it must be so hard now. You're completely distracted by everything that's going on your phone constantly. So another good reason to train in musical theatre, or have a performing arts training of some kind, is to turn that phone off for 3 hours every week. Put it to one side, be with people in a room. We all know from COVID what a nightmare that was, not being able to physically be with people. So now we can get back into that, be with everybody, learn social skills, being in a group environment, also being in a group of students that actually love what you love. That's the thing when kids are at school, there's like 5 of them in a year that love musical theatre and, want to do it. And the rest of people laugh at them because they like that. It's great about MX Masterclass is they come and they're all of like mind. They all want to do it. They all love musicals or acting, if they're doing the acting course. And so they're kind of nurturing each other, learning from each other, but in a supportive environment. And I've always had a zero tolerance policy as well at my school. I've always said I say it on the first day and when they audition as well, that if I ever hear of any student talking badly about another student, I'll just ask them to leave. It's as simple as that. It's my school and my rules. And so I've never, in the almost 13 years now of running this school, never had to kick anyone out. So it shows you that the environment that we create is one of support and nurture. And they do a dance routine. They'll all clap along to each other. They'll support each other. They support each other in their successes and failures, and that's the important thing. And that's what we encourage as well, is for them to step outside their comfort zones and force themselves to fail. Because you never grow unless you're failing. If you're not failing, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. So we encourage failure as a positive.
Can you just talk a little bit about the importance of finding the best teaching staff or team members for the masterclasses, the masterclass?
Yeah, I think the teaching staff is vital. The type of person you get teaching is absolutely vital, and it's why I personally handpick my teachers, because a lot of people have said to me over the years, why don't you franchise the school out and just have it all around the country, and you'll make more money and it'll be great. And for me, that's not what MX Masterclass is about. It's one single school that I have the control over, and I know that the quality is going to be there. It's 100% as good as I can make it, because I know every single teacher that's come through those doors. And I also audition every single child as well. We have an audition process so that there's a standard, there's a level that they have to attain before they can be part of the school, so that they're all, you know, learning from each other. So I do the audition. So every single child that's in MX Masterclass, I say child, they're up to 25 years old, so they're not all children, but every single one has gone through an audition with me personally. But yeah, so the teaching, it's a combination of finding a teacher who has a combination of nurture and knowledge. They're the two kind of great elements. So they're knowledgeable in that they are working professionals, but they are also nurturing in their approach. So they care about the students, they want the best from them, they treat them as individuals, they know their names, they're not just a number, you know, in a room, and they're looking to individually help, even though obviously they're group classes, they're looking to help individuals throughout each session. So yeah, I think that for me is the perfect teacher, somebody who knows the industry, works in the industry, but has also taught and understands how to communicate with children and how to support them, and, you know, hold their hand through the process. Because, you know, I wouldn't want to be a kid now. I don't know about you. I would not want to have to go through being a child in the world of social media and everything. I think it's really tough. There's a lot of bullying that goes on, the cyberbullying, all that stuff. So we feel like MX Masterclass is a safe space. It's a place where kids can come, like I say, put their phones to one side, be in an environment with supportive kids and supportive teachers who can kind of lead them into understanding, obviously, about, you know, singing, acting, and dancing, but also shaping them to think differently and to feel like they're growing as a human being, not just as a performer. And that's what's great for me to see as well. Watching kids come in time and time again, I've seen kids come in who have raw talent, who are great, but they're so shy, so nervous. I've seen them sitting in the corners and being like, "Oh no, why do we accept that kid? They're never going to get." And then over time, seeing them gradually come out of their shells and develop and become really lovely human beings. That for me is better than them going off and becoming a movie star.
Where can people find you if they want to come and via your socials or like get in contact with you?
So the school is called MX Masterclass, as in Michael Xavier Masterclass. So mxmasterclass.com is our website. They can sign up. If you're interested, you can sign up for a free taste today. We always do a free taste today. So you come along, take part in the class as if you were just part of the school already. So you'll filter into one of the already running classes. And during the day, we'll take you out and to do a private one-on-one audition. And that is it. It's as simple as that, really. So yeah, go to mxmasterclass.com and go to the free taste today page, sign up for it, and we'll see you there. And you can find us on Instagram at MX Masterclass, and Twitter, now X, at MX Masterclass, and TikTok as well, MX Masterclass.
So thank you very much to Michael for taking the time out of his day to talk to us here at the club. It's very much appreciated. A fantastic episode with lots of really good nuggets of information. If you like what you saw and you haven't done so, please do consider leaving a like on the video, subscribing to the page and dinging that bell for notifications. I will see you on the next episode. Cheers.